Hello, fellow map makers. Welcome to another live map making session. I hope you can hear me well. My connection seems to be fine at the moment. Fingers crossed, even though I had to drop out a little earlier, but since then the connection's been very good. And I'm hoping it's gonna stay this way. And not have the same problem as last week. I'm Ralf Schermann of Fantasy Software, and I'm here tonight to continue showing you the map I started last week, which unfortunately got interrupted by some technical problems. But I've saved the map, and I'm ready to continue with the map making from last week with the latest annual style, the gritty SciFi Blueprints by Ute Gundaker. It's nice to see quite a few people in the chat. Welcome for the live map making session. As always, if you do have any questions, please post them in the chat, and we'll happy to help out. And I'll be happy to show stuff on screen as much as possible, and so everybody can learn something from the session. Alright, so let's get back to our SciFi blueprint. I'm mapping a research installation, something I'm decided now that it's probably an underwater site, perhaps something on an alien water planet. And I'm gonna try to include some stuff that shows the underwater side of things. And let's have a look at the map, how we got so far. So here we are. I used the blue and white technical readout style. That is the default for the style, though you can map in different color schemes as well, in black and white or on gray and stuff like that. Just to show you here, each of the symbols comes both in a white and a black version. So if you're working on a brighter background, you can just use the black versions. Sorry here for a moment. A bit of a nose is itching. Alright, sorry about that. And I chose the blueprint style with white colored walls and symbols for this map. I'm going to remove the text here that I introduced just to show that we're waiting for the live stream. So I'm going to use the erase command, click on the baseline of the text, press D for do it, and my text is gone. I had done the general layout of the station using the draft line tools, and then filling stuff up with the floor styles and putting in proper walls. Okay, yes, I think I've tweaked my microphone a little bit and stuff, so I hope the sound is better this week and you can hear me well. Okay, very good. Good to see that that seems to have worked. So, but this is just the general layout for the locations, and I now want to go into the detail and map the individual sections of the installation. I've got these hexagonal buildings, and they're connected to a central hub with the corridors in here, but I do want to show some external stuff as well and put in interior walls and things. So for example, I'm thinking I want a airlock, or basically an entrance here from the outside, but since this is underwater, it does need some kind of airlock, of course, so people can get in and the water can get pumped out. So we do need a kind of system that we do have two doors and a lock system. We could, of course, put this inside the building, but I'm thinking that's probably not how this would be set up. You'd probably rather put something on the outside. So if something goes wrong, you've still got the um, general structure intact, and the integrity of the internal walls is kept. If you've got the airlock in here and then something breaks, you're just already inside the structure proper, and probably only have the weaker interior walls to keep the water out. So I want to build something on the outside. Let's start out by just putting a airlock or a door, iris valve here in the wall, and for that I'm going to go for the wall features. And here we've got the bulkhead doorways stuff, and we're going to grab one of the larger ones. This one here, that's very small here though, set to normal. There we go, that's more like it. And here you can see the symbol attaches to the wall. I can turn off snap. Here, let's see, that gives me a little bit closer control over the door, and I do want the opening mechanism on the inside, so I'm going to put this here. I can control which way the symbol goes by where I've got my mouse cursor on which side of the wall. And let's say if I go on the right of the wall, you see that the locking mechanism is to the lower left, and if I go down, then it switches around. It's on the upper right, so that's where I'm going to put it. And there's my door on the wall. You can see it goes on the symbol sheet, and it does separate a little bit from the wall. But I do want the outside lock here, and for that I'll need some walls. And I do want to do this in a fairly regular way. So let's have a look and take our wall here. I think we went for the 25 centimeter walls here. And I could start here, but what I do want is I actually want a wall that is exactly parallel to this one. So I'm going to start by putting it here on the snap, on the point, and turn that off. And now I want to draw a line that is parallel to this one. For that, I'm going to use a modifier. That's tools, drawing aids. No, actually, where is my draw? Draw like. No, I'm just a bit confused at the moment. Where is my modifiers? Across. I am a bit confused. I'm looking for the list of textual modifiers in the. I've got some here on the line, like the endpoint modifier and the mid modifier, but I'm saying to the parallels. And why don't I see my? It's on under snaps, of course. Sorry, got confused there for a section. So I want to draw something parallel to, and here I can see the shortcut for that, which I didn't have in mind because I use it fairly rarely. So I can use F11 or just click on this, and then I select a line like the wall here, and now I can only draw this wall line in this parallel way to the existing one. Like this, and then I'm gonna use the endpoint modifier here, and then draw this actually in perpendicular to this line, like this, and then the same down here, also perpendicular to this line. Oops, that was a bit clicked too quickly. Endpoint modifier perpendicular to here and this way. Now I've just got some weird looking walls around here. That's because I just draw the lines in the direction I wanted. Now what I can do, I can use the trim to intersect to trim them to each other, and I have got that. And now I can connect them into one thing by doing edit, reshape, transform, combine paths, select ones here. I do need to switch the points around that they connect, and there I've got one line putting them all together, and I've got the section here that is exactly perpendicular and parallel to the outer hexagon wall. And now I'm going to put in the bulkhead on the other side, and again put the locking mechanism on the outside here, and there's my little airlock on the outside of the building. If I wanted them all on the same exits of the corridors, like here, I could use my array copy again to put them there, but now I'm going for the asymmetrical stuff in the layout, and I'll just put the airlock entry in here. I also might still want to put a floor on the same kind of floor like I have here on that section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click my floor tiles hex, and I had the 2 meter ones which I created last time, and then I'm just going to use the F5 modifier to fill in this area here. And there's my hex floor style on this section as well. So much for that. That's my airlock on the outside. Now I do want to put in a few more interior walls here. I'm going to subdivide this into different sections. So I'm going to go for the walls again. And I'm going to use F5. And I could put it on here exactly, but I do want to divide the whole thing in half. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw the walls all through the section in here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a gap in there. And I'm going to do this with the break tool. I want to break this line. And then I'm going to use F6 as the intersection modifier. I want to break the line from this intersection to this intersection. And there's my wall subdividing this. Now I can put in some more doors. Now I'm going to go for not the big bulkheads, or actually I'm going to put one interior bulkhead here on this side. Take the large one again. So I'm expecting these sections to be secured against water and stuff. So this will have a heavy bulkhead door here. But then I'm going to go for the smaller doors. But I do want these a little bit larger, I guess, like this. And these I'm going to put here on these walls. And there. And you can see these symbols actually break a gap into the walls, unlike the big bulkheads. Okay, so I've got this separated into the different sections, and now I can put in stuff in here. So let's have a look at our furniture. We've got crates and boxes and cargo containers here. So let's put in, let's build this up as a storage area. So I'm going to grab the barrel here, set this back to normal, and put in some barrels here against the wall. crate here and some smaller boxes. That doesn't look so good because they are not don't have a filled in the interior, so stacking them you'll see all the interior lines on that. So let's put them next to each other. And this is a big cargo container. That's a bit large for this. So we've got a storage container here. And then we probably have a locker with some with wetsuits or stuff like that that you need if you go outside. So let's have a look what we've got for that. But this is more office stuff. Sink, toilets, washing, vending machine, table. We've got some science stuff as well, I think. Yeah, science tech here. So we've got a diving bell here and some cryo tanks, medical chair, laboratory table, screens, nice submersible, something we should put somewhere. Let's grab us. These do look a bit like lockers, so let's build a line of lockers here. And let's put a cryo tank here in the corner. And generator. There we go. Okay, and then let's put in some hydroponics here. Smaller. Let's scale that to any size we want. Rotate it to align to our walls. Quite there. That's better. And a section here. And then possibly, what else do we need in the next room? More in the. So let's put our power generation in here. There we go. And perhaps some smaller one. And some screens on the walls. Larger. There we go. Then I'm thinking I do want a little bit of stuff on the walls here, so of the corridor, some readouts. So let's put something next to the doors, perhaps make it a little bit smaller. This in here, something next to this door, and then go 180 degrees. No, it's not quite here yet. That's better. There and there on the wall. Actually, should probably have put a control line on these so we can line them to the walls automatically. But I didn't get around to that when creating the style. Okay, there we are. And with that, I'm pretty happy with these, with the first of our sections of the station. Let's have a quick look what else we do have in wall features. Now we only the door. Oh, we've got the piping there. I was thinking I might want to put some of that into the airlock stuff just to make it look a little bit more technical. You've got something to pump the water out once you got in there, so that should be fitting. Go on some smaller stuff. There we go. So let's have a look at our interior section here. We do need some doors into this. So here we need, I'm going to take the smaller bulkheads for that. And I'm going to put one in each of these sections. And then I'm thinking this is a place where you got the basically a pressurized room that you can access from below, where the water can't go further up because of the pressure. And I think from the tools I've seen here, it was in here. I think it's called a moon pool. Not exactly sure why, but I'm sure Ute knows her stuff with the underwater stations there better. And she named the symbol like this, and I saw it on her example map. So we'll put this in here. Actually, I can turn off snap to put it exactly in the center. A bit smaller perhaps. So this is something where you can surface from the bottom directly into the station. All right. And then got some cameras here, things. This is more stuff. So we could put a ladder here at the side so you can actually climb out of the thing. Turn off snap. We go, let's have a look at our furniture or science stuff. No, this is for the decorations later. Let's put a console here on the wall somewhere. Actually down here, I can make that a bit smaller. Generator here. And another screen on the wall. There we go. That's all I need for our central section. And we would now go on and go to our external areas here. Though thinking I might actually... Yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of stuff. I'm thinking I do need a place for the labs and perhaps the crew quarters. So let's put that into this section. So it won't have an outside access. That's not going to be necessary, but I'm going to do the same kind of wall in here. So I'm going to separate this through here and then break the wall with the intersection modifier. Go. Then I do need an airlock bulkhead door. There we go. And if I don't, if the through corridor here is probably a bit overkill to have this. We could save some space for other stuff if we cut the corridor here short, because we don't need the outside access. So I'm gonna do a little bit of modification of the corridor here. I'm gonna put a wall in again, just here, and make that parallel with 11 to this wall. Then I'm going to use the modifier here to trim this to these corners. And then I'm going to put in, the wall sections from this corner to here and from this corner to here. And this way we've got an additional room here at the end. Now I'm going to go for the doors, and I'm going to put in my doors again. Make these somewhat larger. Put a door in here, one in here, one in here, a door in here, and on this side. And now I can put in some beds. It's got the bed symbol here. And line them to this wall here. So it's probably going to be bunk beds and a sleeping space for up to 6 people. There we go. Got a cupboard. Put this here on the wall. Go. Perhaps a couple of chairs. There we are. Then we do need some kind of bathroom facilities, I guess. I think I saw a toilet somewhere. There we go. So it's actually, I'm thinking I might put another wall in here and make that a little bit, separate that into 2 rooms again. So I'm gonna put this on the wall here, F9, and then I'm gonna use F11, the parallel modifier, put this to here, and then use the trim to modifier to trim the wall to the outside. That means I do need another door to put in on here, and then go back to my furniture and grab the toilets, set to normal, and put something in here. There we go. Let's put a little bit of wall in here again. Nine. Go. Another doorway in here. And then do I have anything washroom? Like, no, just the washing machine. Stove. We've got a sink. Looks more like a kitchen sink, but still. Oh, actually, there's one. Look a bit better. There we go. Then there's the shower. So let's put the shower in here. Alright, so much for that. Then we do need some kind of communal area for eating. Let's put this in here. And then we'll have the galley at the end of the section, though it probably makes sense to have a door in here from the eating area to the kitchen to the galley. So we've got another desk here, service counter. Let's put in some shelves. Make this a bit smaller. There's a stove. Oops, but that was the... Go. And where's my other sink that I had there previously? There we go. Table there, and we can put the sink on that. There we go. Right, so this will be the living quarters, and probably an area with a sofa or something here in here. Bit too generous with the space. Go. This is probably a bit too large, that table, yes. Smaller one. And the vending machine for some snacks. There we go. So that's that section. So finally, we do need some labs here on this side. And all right, again, I'm going to cut the corridor short here, make that a little bit different. So I'm going to put a ball in here again. Oops, come on. 5, 5. This time I'm just gonna trim the old wall of the corridor to this line here. So I've got a bit of, oops, what did I do there? I want to trim these to this. There we go. Yeah, that's better. So a larger laboratory area here. Again, we need some doors. One in here and a couple on the corridor. Oh, actually, I don't need a bulkhead on this one here. There we go. And then I can put in some scientific stuff in here. Let's see what we've got. We've got the hydroponics again. We've got an analysis tool. Let's make that a little bit larger. Put that here. Whatever this is. Go. Let's put a medical chair in here, but a normal size, otherwise it gets too large. Laboratory table. There we go. And larger reactor here, on this side for the power. servers. Another terminal. And what else do we have here? There's more laboratory tables. And that should be enough for filling this in. And there's my layout, complete with the furniture and everything. Very good. And then we are getting to the text keys, the text labels, and everything else. But perhaps we can first put in a little bit of decorations. So we're thinking if we're making this into a handout with, so it's that's found somewhere, so you don't have a pristine map, but it's might have some stains on it and stuff. We do have some special symbols for that. Let's have a quick look here. I think they're under elemental. And you can just put some dirt on the map, for example. You can scale this to any size. You'll see that these don't go on the symbols sheet, they go on the styles sheet instead. So they're randomized, and if you've got something a little bit more grisly, you can also have a blood stain on here. And a crack. There we go. And if you do turn on the sheet effects, okay. I thought these blended more into the map. Let's have a look. Style. Blend mode is on. Transparency. I think to mention that they are sometimes no, they are should be on the right sheet. Info list, sheet style, yes. Okay, they do have the typical symbol problem that the transparency effects don't work on them. I'm gonna I thought let's have a quick look on my example map here. This one, these symbols work fine on here. See, these are the blended in symbols. Style sheet, and it does have the same kind of effects on there. That is weird. Why doesn't it quite work on my map? Oh well, I'll have to take a closer look into that. Why it doesn't work on this map here. If I move this up. Yeah, okay, if I move it, I think it needs to be after the symbols sheet. I'm not entirely sure what right now, but this is what I was looking for. See, they are softed into the map and look fine now. Strange. Anyway, we can also do the same with drawing tools. We've got the style splash here. That is basically the same thing. So we can put a color on that. If you do brown, and then just draw a splash like this. refresh and see there also, see the stain in here. They work the same way. All right. And then, of course, we can put in the usual numbering. So let's say if we put in we've got symbols for the map titles and stuff in here, so I can grab the map title symbol, put that in here, and so let's call that let's call that undersea research station beta. Okay, I should set the symbols to proper size first. So actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to redo that. Here we go. Do a set normal and perhaps make this a little bit larger. But so I've got the rotation right. Undersea research station beta, and that looks better. Now I can just move that, make it a bit larger, put it in the right spot up here. There we go. And let's put in a copyright as well. Copyright 2026 by Profantasy Software. Move that right just a little bit. Oh, it's a bit too far to the right. There we go. And do we have text? Yes, we do have also drawing text tools. So if you want to just use a standard text, you can click that and then put in, let's call this the central hub with Moonpool. To make this smaller. Go. So then use the extract properties on this to keep the same text properties. And so let's go. This is the access and utility hub, utility module. Bottom center. Then we've got the research module. And this to the top here. And the top one is the habitation module. Right. Go. And I'm thinking I do want to move this a little bit because it's a bit crunched up to the top there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab this everything in here in the middle, except not the stains and decorations, and then just move this a little bit to the center here. There we go. And then you can do stuff like adding some of the other text symbols. Let me check where I put them. No, not these ones. I did have symbols for that somewhere, if I can find them. Although there were element. No, that was the. It was just these things. These furniture. This is the was on the traps. It's a little bit not very intuitive because I had to reuse basically the dungeon floor plans, the symbols for this one because I didn't want to assume symbols had 3 installed. So I had to make do a little bit with these symbols, and not all of these symbols are absolutely intuitive, but they are all listed in the mapping guide. All right. And here I do want to put in some of the, like someone has written some notes on the map. And for that I'm going to use the dark color things. So I can just grab the skull here and put this on here. And then let's put in a little bit of an arrow in here pointing to this thing here. And then you can put some text in another font in there to show someone scribbling on the map. Or to have marker, is this in here? I think, yes. That's the different font that I used for that. So let's say infection started here. Here, like a little bit smaller. Bottom center, a little bit of ominous message. And there we've got the text on there. Though I might want to put that on the other text sheet, so I'm going to use move to sheet and put that on text markers. There we go. And let's have a look what else we can put in here. Let's put some cross symbols on here. And again, some symbols, some arrows, a bit larger. Yeah. And use extract bodies and say bodies found here. Right. There we go. And that way you can add some other stuff to the map that it's not wouldn't have been on the original blueprint, but somebody scribbled on there and create a nice little handout for players like that for an adventure. Put some clues on there, points for them to investigate, and they make a good starting point for working with the map if you hand it off to your players. And that's about it. I could add, do I have a scale bar in this here? I don't think so. We do have a compass rose, but I don't think we have a scale bar as such. And you would normally not find a scale bar on a model map like this. You'd find a scale notification like 1 to 20,000 or whatever. And compass rose also is not really necessary because on a model map, north will normally be up. Yes, and it's we haven't quite done an hour, mostly because I didn't already started with part of the map, but I think we are quite finished with this and happy to call it a finished map at this point. I could show you just a quick export of the map if you wanted to put that as a JPEG somewhere. So let's say save as and your JPEG bitmap and options Here you can set the size of your map. So perhaps we've got some very thin lines on this, so we might not make it a little bit smaller. Export, so it doesn't, the thin lines don't totally vanish. But we can also put in some anti-alias if we want to, 20%. Okay, and then we'll call this undersea research station beta. Correct this and save. And there you can see our export. And now Photoshop should come up with the map in there. Just takes a second. There we go. Let's resize this to my video output. There we go. And there you've got our export. You can see the hex grid lines get fairly small, but still visible. Text is readable. Or you can see the symbols, and you've got a nice little map export there. The stains are visible. And you can make this smaller from this size. Say you wanted just a preview on a website somewhere, just scale it to 1200 pixel and you've got a good web-sized image there. And that's our map finished. Thank you very much for watching. And if you like our stuff, then please do give the video a like and subscribe to our channel. That's always very welcome. And hopefully see you again next week with as stable an internet connection as this time. That did work out after all, after giving me a bit of a scare at the start. All right, have a good night, happy mapping, and see you next week. Bye bye.